Let's talk about the economic downsides of having a full lockdown. You had one in Wales. There's one in London right now. There's one across the country, obviously. I mean, it has massive detrimental effects, and yet it's hard to quantify somehow, Jamie, or hard to show people that compared to, say, lives lost. We seem to have an emotional reaction to the lives lost. And even when you quantify that we're losing £2 billion a day in the economy, people think, oh, well, you're being capitalistic. You're not thinking about the people. But obviously, that income would pay for the NHS, that pays for our future livelihoods. And obviously, being unlocked means our mental health isn't being strained. Have you seen any stats that are able to kind of quantify the economic damage? Because most people are agreeing now it's becoming worse than the lives we're saving during lockdown.
So at the moment, then, the economy is about 8.2% smaller than what it was pre-lockdown. So you can clearly see that the economy has shrunk. And people were talking about maybe a V-shaped recovery. So you think that you've got the chart growing and growing and growing. It fell down and then it's starting to grow back up. We haven't got back to where we were, but it has come back quite a lot. But it's nowhere near quite the level that we were. So the summer months and easing the restrictions, and then we had the Eat Out to Help Out scheme from the Chancellor, has helped boost the economy. We started seeing a lot of the travelling going on, and that helped a bit. You could argue then, though, that open up the economy has then filled part of the second wave. So that is that economic effect. Now, as you pointed out, some people look at the economic figures, GDP, it's just a balance sheet. What does it mean? So it's probably better to look more at the job statistics and unemployment and people who are losing their jobs. So at the moment, unemployment is rising. Currently, the rate is about 4.8%. Now, to put that into some kind of context, we hit at about 8% following the financial crisis in 2008. So we've got a long way to go before we get there. We've heard all of this positive talk about a vaccine. And if a vaccine comes on and areas such as aviation start flourishing again, if we come out of all of that, we probably won't get to the 8% because the economic shock, this is a different thing. This is a pandemic. So it'll be probably more short term if we don't have those long-term effects of having to lock down and lock down and lock down. But let's forget about race. Let's talk about actual numbers then. So the ONS look at the tax data and how many people are on payroll. So people are actually paying tax because they didn't work. Now, if you compare the latest figures to, say, 12 months ago, that's 763,000 people have come off the payroll in the last year. Now, that is only up to the end of October. We do know that the Chancellor had announced that the furlough scheme, which was put in to try and ease the number of job losses, was going to come to an end at the end of October. But it was announced on the day that it was going to actually be extended. But many businesses would have taken decisions over those summer months to think, well, if the furlough's coming to an end, have I got a financial business model here which is sustainable? So we might actually see that 763,000 go up even further. So it's quite clear that will have longer lasting impacts on the mental health of those people who've lost those jobs. Obviously, the financial impact will go beyond just kind of the individuals, the wider economy and where they're going to be spending the money. And we know that when we have restrictions, it does hit footfall in terms of the economy and fewer people going to shops, etc. So there's that negative effect on the economy with the lockdown. We may also see COVID will have a longer term, longer lasting positive effect on some parts of the economy, though that the world of work has probably changed. People are working from home far more than they were. If you go back a year ago, if we tried to mobilize, let's do more remote working, let's do more remote meetings, there was always a reluctance from companies to try and embrace that. Oh, we need to fly in, we need to do some face-to-face. So I think the world of work has changed forever in that sense, which might increase work-life balance for people where they don't have to go and spend hours at end commuting into the office. And it also might open up opportunities for people in that they don't have to, for example, go to London if there's jobs that would normally have been advertised in London. Maybe people can work in the more remote areas, and that might then start seeing the economics of remote areas kind of boosted with house prices. But I think we might see kind of a fall in the economy in London with regards to house prices in that sense. So again, it's a mixed picture with the economy, but I think one of my criticisms, I suppose, with the presentations that we do see with the data, it does tend to concentrate, rightly or wrongly, all about the cases, all about the deaths, etc. But there are a wider economic impacts, and there's a lot of people out there who have been losing their jobs through the pandemic, and we're still nowhere near coming through out the other end yet.